right, so let's go ahead and do some exploring or experimenting with some salts. We have sea salt, Himalayan pink salt, regular, Epsom salt, table salt, and right here is some kosher salt. We're going to do the first test, which is super wet paint, and I have a mix already here. And this is brick red. I just love this color. It's one of my new ones. We're just going to paint it on here and sprinkle sea salt here, Himalayan pink, and so on. And then this one, we're going to do the second try, or test, is going to be with damp paint. All right, so let's see what we can get with some super wet paint here. All right, so we're just going to put this on. So I'm just using some paper that's cheapo paper. It's not really that expensive. I can't remember the name of this one, but I think it's a student grade paper. So let me get my head out of the way because it's always in the way. I want to make sure I get this really, really damp here. All right, we got to do quick. So first one, sea salt. I'm just going to put some in my hand here and sprinkle it right in here. Next one is Himalayan salt. We got to do this quick because I want to make sure we get all of our stuff tested here before this paint starts to soak in. It's already starting to soak in, so I should have had these in little containers first. Oh well, it's all right. We got this. You can see it's doing a little something. And some kosher salts. Yeah, it's still pretty wet, so we're in good shape here. Now the second round, I'm going to let it soak in for a minute or so. Maybe not a minute, but we're going to see what the results will be for this. All right. And everything's open and good to go. This really dries quickly, so and you cannot spray on top of it to get it wet again because the salt, it won't work that way. So now I'm just going to let this sit for a minute this time. Give it a little time, little resting time. All right. Wow, look what we're getting so far. This is turning out pretty good. So each one actually had maybe, 10, 15 seconds, maybe a little bit more to rest, to soak in. So I'm giving this a little bit more time. It's almost time. I see that it's starting to get a sheen to it, which is perfect. But we don't want it to be too dry. If it's too dry, it's not going to work. All right. Wait a little bit longer. Just a little. All right, now I'm going to put this on. So we have maybe a 30 seconds or more of the paint to soak in and dry a little bit, to absorb. So we're trying to figure that sweet spot, right? And I think you guys are getting an idea which one that might be. But look how cool this is. This is really doing really well. This is doing better than I thought it would, to be honest. But I'm really impressed about the Epson salt. I don't typically use Epson salt. And look what it's doing in here. This is the sea salt. You can see this one actually melted, I think, a little bit. It dissolved a little bit more. But look how this is turning out. So we waited a good 30 seconds or more between, after putting the paint on, and let it absorb a little bit. And look how cool this is. So it's giving you smaller, smaller dots for the effect here. This one here, also the sea salt, isn't spreading out as much, where it's spread out really nice there. This is the Epsom salt, and I'm not seeing but very little happening here, but it's very cool. And look at this, is the table salt, so it's little fine dots. See, they're both similar salts. This is sea salt, table salt. They're similar. But look at the kosher salt. The kosher salt is giving you just barely any speckles here, but look what it's doing there. So I think we have a very successful test here. So the thing is, if you delay too long with putting the salt on, you get less of an effect, but you get it. It's just a smaller effect, right? This one, it spreads out a lot more. So the wetter the paint, in some way, I mean, you still sat for a few seconds. I'm actually quite happy with this result. I'm going to let it dry, and then we'll come back and review it. So I'm going to walk away and let my camera run because I want you to see. We'll time lapse it, hopefully. Right, I'll be back. All right, we're almost dry. We got a little bit here still. I don't want to rush it because when you rush it, it can cause problems. So let's wait a little bit longer and let's see what we can get. I think this is turning out really, really better than I expected. All right, so we're looking pretty good. I was just leaning down to look to see if the salt can be removed now. So let's take off the salt, and I'm just going to brush them on my table. Oops, yeah, it's still a little bit wet. Darn it. Okay, it's not dry. I can see now it's still a little bit wet in areas. We got to wait it out a little bit longer, my friends. So I think I'm going to pause and we'll continue this in a minute. All right, so yes, I did heat. I ran some heat on this, and because this was taking longer than I expected to dry completely. And I don't even know if it's really completely dry, but see, there's still little bits of wet. But I think we're at a stage where we can at least get the salt off of it now. All right, so what do you think? I think we had a very successful attempt here, or test. As you see, when it's a little wetter, it does better. All right, but it still has pretty good results when it's slightly damp. Okay, when it's damp paint. I like how this looks. I think this is really pretty. This is the sea salt. I really do like this effect. And then the table salt, I like the little tiny little sprinklies. This would be great for, little stars or whatever. These can be little flowers. These would be great for like bigger areas in a painting to give you a really cool effect. I actually have an idea what I want to do with this. And these are really cool too because they look like little flowers, right? This could be like in the sand or something. If you do a sand painting, maybe little clusters of grassy weeds or little flowers or something in there. Just really fun stuff. This one did not work well. You can see the Epsom salt does not do well unless it's super wet. But the salt really stuck bad to that. So the Epsom salt, I would say, is successful, but not, maybe I won't use it. But it is an alternative. You can figure something out with that kind of effect. So try this out at home. Do your own samplers and then keep them, because you want to make sure what you've done, right? You want to look at your samplers and say, oh, this is really cool. I think I'm going to use it on this one. And you got to keep in mind that every paint reacts different. This is one pigment, a single pigment. I have other paints that are dual pigments, and what's really cool is you get the multiple colors. So I might do something like that next, so you can see how a dual pigmented paint works compared to a single paint or a single pigment paint. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that next. This is so fun. I really enjoyed this little test. So, all right, I'll be back.